DocBox is a secure website where parties to a transaction will be able to view and print the documents that have been uploaded to a transaction in Main Street by your administrative assistant. Parties include First Weber buyers, First Weber sellers, FSBO sellers, title companies, lenders of First Weber buyers, UHP Home Warranty, and attorneys of First Weber buyers and sellers. So only First Weber parties and FSBO sellers will have access to the documents. This will not be for co-broke parties. We feel as though this will be a great listing tool for you, as well as buyer tool, so we certainly hope that you will use this in your presentations. This will go live somewhere around January 1st of 2016, and we will keep in contact with you regarding the release date. Once a transaction is approved by your manager, parties will receive an email with their secure login information. The screen that they will log into will look like this. Parties will have access to view their documents once they log in for 18 months. This will allow the buyers and sellers to retrieve a copy of their HUD for tax purposes. Their login screen will look like this, and you'll notice that your information is in the upper right corner. We have built rules in the background that allow parties to only access documents they should be able to see. For example, sellers will be able to see listing documents prior to an offer and the offer documents once an offer is submitted. We also ask that you turn in your buyer agency agreements at the time you write them, and your administrative assistant will start uploading them electronically into Main Street in January. This means a buyer will be able to view their buyer agency documents prior to an offer and the offer documents once the offer is submitted. You already have access to see the documents that your administrative assistant uploads into Main Street. Simply log into Main Street, scroll down the left-hand rail, and click on Transactions. You can then click on My Transactions, and all of the transactions that you've had for the past 3 years will appear. You can click View to view the documents, print them, or email them. And you will also notice on this list that they are sorted by closing date. If you scroll to the bottom, you also have access to your listings, so if you'd like to see those documents, they're at the bottom because a closing date has not yet been determined for those. Now let's talk about the closing worksheet itself. This entire process is based upon the online closing worksheet being created properly and parties being attached correctly to the worksheet. The first thing you must remember is that you must use all of the lookups on the worksheet. This Find Listing lookup here is the first example. When you click on that, it will bring up a box for you to fill in that will autofill the information once you find the listing onto the worksheet for you. There's two purposes behind this lookup. The first purpose is for simplicity for you. Simply typing in an MLS number or an address and searching for the listing is much simpler than completing all of these fields. But it also ensures that the listing or the contact record is properly attached to the worksheet. We know that this is done correctly because this listing code or contact ID appears. Once you see those listing codes or contact IDs, you know that the listing lookup or any of the other lookups have been done properly and that that party or that listing has been properly attached to the worksheet. When you scroll down the page, you'll notice in the Home Warranty section that there's a new lookup, a Find Home Warranty lookup. When you click on that, you can either look for the home warranty company using the last name field or the business name field, and the home warranty company should appear for you in the list. Select that home warranty company and they will be properly attached to the worksheet. Please remember though that UHP Home Warranty will be the only home warranty company that has access to their applications through a DocBox account. We also ask that you use the Find Title Company link, and this is going to be more important than ever. When you use this lookup, the title company's information will automatically load over. Title companies will be able to view any transactions in one DocBox login account that they are parties to. So they'll be able to access all of the contracts that you would normally send to them via email. We're hoping that this will replace the process of you or your administrative assistant manually emailing those documents, as the title company should automatically have access through their account. When it comes to buyers and sellers, we ask that married couples be added as one contact record in Main Street, as shown in this example. This works best because the follow-up plan that's put in place after a closing occurs includes the follow-up survey, Thanksgiving cards and anniversary cards for buyers, and just a survey for sellers. So if you have married couples in one contact record, then it will address both parties, both people, in the email or in the Thanksgiving cards or anniversary cards. If we were to put the one seller over on this side and the other seller over as seller number 2, the plans are only put in place for seller number 1. So that means only the email address or the contact information for seller number 1 will be used when the survey is sent out, Thanksgiving and anniversary cards are sent out. That's why we ask you to put them both together. You can put multiple email addresses in a contact record. However, just note that when it comes to the survey, if there is multiple email addresses, the survey will go out to both, and the first person to respond will lock the other person out. So if you have a particular seller or buyer that you want to fill out the survey, make sure that you pay attention to that in the contact record. When you go to the Edit Contact link here, you can go ahead and you could flip this flag to No for the email address that you would not like to receive the survey. If this is flipped to No, that person won't receive the survey and only the first one will. So you can maintain that yourself. Co-broke buyers do need to be added as a contact so that they can feed into our closing software. Although you are not the agent that is working with them, we do need to have them added as a contact. If you do not want them in your contacts, it's very simple to get rid of them. All you need to do is click on Edit Contact or go to the contact record in Contacts in Main Street Contacts area. Once you go to the contacts, you'll see that there is an option to make this contact inactive. This active flag field, you just flip to No, and when you flip that to No, it will hide this contact record from your contacts in Main Street, so you won't have to see it anymore. Now let's talk about electronic consent. When it comes to electronic consent, there is now an option where you can send consent for electronic documents directly from the cover sheet and document management or from the closing worksheet as shown here. You no longer have to go to the contact record and send an e-card as you have done in the past, although that is still an option if you would like to do it from there. This area allows it to be much simpler. You simply click on this link and it will force that email out to the party that's listed above. Once that party returns the consent, you will receive the email as you always have in the past. If the electronic consent is returned, this check mark X will turn into a green check so that you know that electronic consent has been completed. It also allows your manager, when reviewing this packet and transaction, to know that you've completed electronic consent. When you use the lookup at the top of the closing worksheet to find the address as shown here, it automatically takes this address and puts it in as the buyer's forwarding address after closing. When it does this, we are hoping that that is the address that the buyer is moving to. However, we are not positive. We are assuming that in most situations that is the case. The buyer's information, address after closing, appears here. If this information is not correct, for example, it's a vacant lot or this buyer is a builder, you may want to delete this information out. The reason you want to do that is now, in this case, as well as in the seller's information, there's a manual field that you can type in their address after closing. Both of these areas are now, after a closing occurs, going to load into your contact record in Main Street for the buyer or seller. We are going to put this address in as the mailing address for that buyer or seller in their contact record, and then move any other addresses that you had there down and put them in as other. This means that your Thanksgiving and anniversary cards would then go to the address that appears here. If something is incorrect, it is important that you remove it so that we don't replace an address in your contact record that could potentially be correct there. If this field is totally blank, nothing will happen, and we will leave the address in the contact record as shown by you. On the seller portion, there's also the seller's forwarding address here, and that the same thing will occur there. If you leave it totally blank, nothing will happen to your contact record. Otherwise, if you type something in, we will certainly move it over to your contact record for you. We're hoping that this will clean up your Thanksgiving and anniversary card lists. So as you can tell, filling out your closing worksheet correctly and turning in your paperwork promptly will be more important than ever. We will keep you informed as to the exact date as to when this will roll out in January, and please call or email myself, Carly Young, if you have any questions about this project. Thank you.